Hello, everyone, and happy Wednesday again. I hope that everyone is doing well and that you're having now a good end to your May. It's fascinating that oh, I was checking to make sure. I was trying to do things ahead of time to make sure that I was on, but I hope that yeah, you're enjoying the end of your May. I can taste summer. It's coming and I'm very, very excited. So, okay, perfect. It looks like I am in all of my groups and things look like they are working, which is always wonderful. So, I would love to hear if you guys had watched, last week's live training on your brain health. What did you think of it? Was it helpful? Was it kind of eye-opening, or did you already know this and it was just a confirmation on, all right, I really need to be mindful of what I'm putting in my body so that I can support my mental well-being? We all, it's like this ebb and flow, right? We got to live life too. I totally get that. But we also want to be mindful, like all around. What are we doing most of the time? It can be like that 80-20 rule of what are you putting in your body? Are you exercising, getting quality sleep 80% of the time? Or I would like to bump that up even more if possible. Obviously, 100% of the time would be wonderful to aim for, but sometimes that's just not possible. But what are you doing most of the time to support your well-being? So last week I discussed the overarching picture on how nutrition can impact the health of your brain, and what you can consume drastically influences your mental well-being. The whole "you are what you eat," not necessarily in that physical aspect, but in that mental aspect, that there is that connection between our gut and our brain that I spoke about. And how, the Western diet really is not a great dietary pattern, but it's very prominent here in the US, and it negatively affects our mental well-being, unfortunately. Today, I'm going to take it a step further and really do a dive into the various nutrients and how they specifically show up in your mental health and well-being. So, a single micronutrient deficiency can contribute to any number of disorders of the nervous system and your brain health, including, migraines, depression, anxiety, ADHD, Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, schizophrenia, like so much. Even just like your memory, attention span, your performance of your brain and mental performance, your everyday performances. So that's what I'm going to be getting into, are these various micronutrients, but then some dietary patterns and overall healthy lifestyle patterns too. And again, if you have any questions, comments, or even concerns, throw them in the comment section, because I'm here to support you along your journey. And my goal is to help you realize that the body is not divided into just different parts and different organs that are working solo. Everything works synergistically. And so I know I've been doing so many different series, but ultimately they come down to the same things. We want to make sure we're getting enough nutrients, those micronutrients. We want to make sure we're getting enough fiber, hydration, whole foods, colorful plants, quality protein, quality fats, and getting in exercise or movement, calming the nervous system. When we can have an overall healthy lifestyle that is well balanced, our body is going to be working pretty efficiently and optimally. So that's where I'm going with all of these different, series and parts. They may seem like they are like, why do these pertain to me? They do, because all of our systems work together. So that's what I'm trying to bring to the table, is just to show the impact of nutrition on all of these states, especially for people struggling with autoimmune conditions, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, any like health conditions, hormonal problems, and general well-being. A lot of us struggle with gut imbalances because of so many things in our environment, our stressors, things that are showing up in our food that we don't even know about. Um, so it's just everything gets impacted. And when you already have a condition like fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue or autoimmune conditions, we really have to be more aware of what we are putting into our body. Our systems are already on overload. Our immune systems are already like struggling to keep up. Our nervous systems are struggling to keep up. So it's very, very crucial that we are well aware of how we are influencing our well-being. So we do have a lot of control over things, and some things we don't. But food is one thing that we can try to put a lot of that we can put a lot of control on, as best that we can, right? So that's what I'm trying to get at. But let's get started so that we can get into the various, micronutrients and how they impact your mental well-being. So I want to get started off with a big one, vitamin D. So deficiency, very, very common, especially here in Minnesota, in the northern states where, sun is not always present, or it's very cold in the winter. We don't get outside. We tend to have deficiency. We're more prone to deficiency. Um, it's an anti-inflammatory nutrient, and has association with depression, ADHD, anxiety, other illnesses, low immunity, brain fog. Obviously, the best source is going to be your sunlight. Then the next best is going to be supplementation of vitamin D3, making sure you have a quality one though. But then, you can get some vitamin D from fish, lard, eggs, fortified juices, fortified dairy, those types of things too. Salmon, with the bone in, those are going to be great too. But ultimately, sun is the best source. Omega-3 fatty acids. So DHA and EPA are two main polyunsaturated fatty acids in our brain and mental well-being. They have a huge role in our nervous system function as well. And there is an inverse relationship between omega-3 intake and depression. So the less omega-3 intake that we have, the higher our risk for depression. And there is a possible role in brain fog. And, if you don't consume fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, tuna, herring, trout, on a regular basis, weekly, maybe you don't have access to seafood, a supplementation of omega-3 fatty acid or cod liver supplementation can really be beneficial. And the recommendation is having 1,000 milligrams of EPA and 300 to 500 milligrams of DHA in a combination in that supplement. And Nordic Naturals is a really good one. Shaklee has another really good omega-3 jelly too. Transparency, we want quality vitamins or supplements, and we don't want to have those added chemicals to them. So those are the two that I recommend. Caffeine and anxiety is another problem. I know this isn't a specific nutrient, but caffeine is the biggest cause of irritability and anxiety, and Americans consume on average 2 to 3 servings per day. So 200 to 400 milligrams a day of coffee and soda. They're getting in caffeine somehow. Even small amounts of caffeine can lead to anxiety. It restricts blood flow to the brain, dehydrates the brain, interferes with sleep, is addictive, and can accelerate your heart rate and raise blood pressure. Not to mention, it can also affect your adenosine levels and lead to neurotransmitter imbalances within the body. Caffeine takes the place of adenosine in the brain, so it stimulates you, and then all of a sudden when the caffeine's gone, you have a bunch of adenosine trying to go to the receptors and you crash, and it's just can lead to this imbalance. It's just not great. B vitamin deficiencies are involved in B vitamins are involved in a series of important reactions. and have a big contributing factor on our mental well-being, our mood, our energy, all of that. So low levels of the active form of B6 is involved in a series of important reactions, like neurotransmitter synthesis, dopamine and serotonin production, also a cofactor in the synthesis of the calming neurotransmitters like GABA. So low levels of B6 have been linked to depression, but also anxiety as well. B12 deficiency is associated with memory loss, depression, cognitive dysfunction, brain fog. So making sure that you're having adequate levels of those, and B12 is typically found in animal products. So make sure, like if you're vegan, a lot of times you have to supplement with B12. And so we want to make sure that, and as we age, we tend to have more of that deficiency with B12, since we start to lose intrinsic factor in our body. So we want to make sure that we're getting enough B12. There's a lot with B12. Folate, or folate deficiency, there's a lower treatment response to SSRI antidepressant drugs. So people who are on antidepressants but aren't getting enough folate, those SSRIs might not be working for you then, or at least not working as efficiently as they could. Folate is a building block for many feel-good neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. So if we're not getting enough folate from a lot of our leafy greens, it's going to be hard to build those neurotransmitters, and we can have that imbalance, and all of that. So B2 is another one that's associated with depression when it comes to low levels, due to its role in methylation reactions in the brain. Biotin is also part of the B complex, and deficiency has induced depression in many studies. B3, severe deficiency can lead to anxiety, and supplementing at pharmacological doses can help enhance the calming effect of GABA in the brain. So it can really help reduce that anxiety for people. B3 also converts tryptophan to serotonin too. So if we aren't getting enough, we can't efficiently convert tryptophan to serotonin in the body. And serotonin, again, that feel-good neurotransmitter. Inositol is a neurochemical, and this is also a B vitamin, a neurochemical messenger in the brain that affects dopamine and serotonin receptors, influences signaling pathways in the brain. It's very effective in reducing panic attacks and is also effective for SSRI disorders. Inositol is one that you'll commonly see in supplements, especially like even hormonal supplements. I've seen it in some PCOS supplements. Same with if you get any like calming supplements or supplements to support your nervous system, inositol is one that often shows up. Iron deficiency. So low stores of iron in the brain alter your neurotransmitter synthesis and function. Symptoms can be like fatigue, apathy, poor concentration. Deficiency also impacts your cognitive, social, and emotional health and motor function. So making sure that we're getting adequate iron. Again, there's that non-heme iron that we can get from our plant sources, legumes, beans, those dark leafy greens, making sure that you're having then an acid or, like vitamin C along with it so you can absorb that iron better, or getting it from your animal products. So a lot of the various, meats, obviously the animal organs are going to be the highest in iron. Chicken thighs are higher in iron, but obviously chicken breast also has iron too. So it's just making sure that you're getting in the sources that you need. And if you're vegan, make sure that you're getting in the vitamin C to help with that absorption of the non-heme iron. Zinc deficiency. So zinc deficiency, really impacts our immune function, DNA synthesis, and cell division. Zinc in general is critical for regulation of dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, and gamma aminobutyric acid, or that GABA that I spoke about, and helps regulate copper too. So if we're not getting in enough zinc, or if we're getting in too much zinc, that can actually alter your copper. So there is a fine balance, but a lot of us are depleted in zinc because um, it's not at optimal levels in our soil anymore like it used to be. Symptoms of a deficiency, there's behavioral and sleep disturbances. We can see an increased sensitivity to allergies, poor mental health, loss of sex drive. Supplementation can help reduce anxiety and depression. Magnesium deficiency. And, if you've watched like in the beginning when I started to do lives, I spoke about magnesium deficiency and how it can be hindering people with, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, autoimmune conditions. A lot of us do have a magnesium deficiency because, again, it's not as abundant in our soil as it used to be. And we're completely stressed out. So our cells are stressed. They're needing more magnesium. It's part of over 300 enzymatic functions in the body. So when our body is heightened and in that fight or flight mode, we're kind of burning through this magnesium. And same with zinc too. When we're stressed, we burn through more zinc. When a lot of times if our gut is out of balance, immune function's out of balance, we typically are burning through zinc too. Magnesium is also, it helps with our normal muscle and nerve function, aids in heart health, blood pressure, supports the immune system, keeps our bones strong, helps regulate blood sugar levels, so many different things, helps, sleep, our nervous system, all that. And so symptoms of a deficiency can be like agitation and anxiety. We can see irritability. We can see restless leg syndrome start to pop up, sleep disorders, brain fog, depression. Deficiency damages N-methyl D-aspartate receptors in the brain, and these receptors help regulate mood. So if we're having a deficiency, that's going to be altering our mood. Magnesium regulates the HPA, or hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which if you go to previous videos, I've talked about the HPA axis, which controls physical and psychological reactions to stress. And so a deficiency can induce anxiety and even emotional hyperreactivity. Food sources are going to be a lot of your unrefined grains, nuts, green veggies are great too. So you can get it in the diet, but a lot of us need a little more with supplementation, especially us with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, autoimmune conditions, and who are very stressed out. Chromium deficiency. Chromium is a trace mineral involved in your carbohydrate, fat, and protein metabolism. It also enhances the action of insulin in the body and has beneficial effects in diabetes and depression. It also has an effect on your serotonin transmission and can provide a anxiety relieving effect as well. So it can help reduce that anxiety for people. Other nutrients that play a role in depression and or anxiety. Selenium, it's an integral part of the regulatory proteins in the brain. It may relieve postpartum depression and also can reduce anxiety too. Serine regulates brain chemistry. It's involved in that N-methyl D-aspartate receptor function, again, which helps regulate your mood, and it acts as a neurotransmitter. Low levels correlate with severity of depression, and serine, it also exerts a calming effect and can lower anxiety. Copper is an integral part of certain chemicals in the brain, like your endorphins, that calm anxious feelings, and deficiency can exacerbate anxiety-like behavior. Vitamin E deficiency can enhance anxiety-related behavior as well. Carnitine, see that in a lot of like meats and like carnitine supplements, especially for like bodybuilders, but can reduce anxiety, improve feelings of well-being. It increases serotonin and noradrenaline, which lifts your mood and can also alleviate depression as well. So antioxidants in general, get these from the colorful plants, those colorful fruits and vegetables. Again, getting the colors of the rainbow is wonderful, just not Skittles variety. So antioxidants help protect against oxidative stress, and oxidative stress in the brain alters neurotransmitter function. So again, those antioxidants go around and help fight against that oxidative stress and help reduce the damage from oxidative stress. And our brain is very sensitive to oxidation. So it's easy for us to have that oxidative stress in the brain. Vitamins A, C, E, like lipoic acid, CoQ10, glutathione, cysteine, they all play key roles in the prevention and treatment of depression. There is a role of nutrition and ADHD as well. So, looking at like artificial food coloring, gluten, gut issues, sugar and refined or processed foods, a deficiency in those polyunsaturated fatty acids, those, like EPA and DHA, a deficiency in zinc, magnesium, and iron. These are all very common to see with people struggling with ADHD. Um, they're like magnesium, zinc, copper, iron, vitamin B6 appear to have substantial effects on ADHD symptoms. So, both deficiencies in these or excess in these can affect our brain areas that influence neurotransmitter control over behavior, mood, and intelligence. So, again, finding that balance. Sufficient diet providing appropriate protein, carbohydrate, and fat is going to promote your brain's structure and energy production. So, micronutrients, even in minute amounts, are critical for balancing neurochemicals and transmitting signals correctly. So sometimes people really need to have those micronutrients tested, especially with severe anxiety and depression or, ADHD. It can be very beneficial to see, hey, are you getting enough of these specific nutrients before we try to supplement? Because again, we don't want to have excess of them either. So that's where you can get various micronutrient testing that I can help provide for you, and we can see where your levels are at and adjust accordingly. You want to feel your best. Vitamin C is also a critical component of our antioxidant system, especially in the brain. So it plays a role in our brain health. Lead. So if you've had exposure to lead in the past or currently, it is a primary risk factor for ADHD, especially in children. And water isn't the only significant source. Obviously, we know about the lead paint, but like it's sneaking into things. There's even like heavy metals that are showing up now in common chocolate products. So yeah, chocolate's now a very big like contaminant of heavy metals. So it's really important to be mindful of that. And maybe, if testing is needed with that, otherwise you can there are detox protocols that we can do that can really help. So there's a lot of ways to help your body rid of that. Food additives, especially MSG, aspartame, and sucralose, these are not great. They are commonly found in processed foods in our Western diet. They allow foods to stay good for longer than normal or natural. It can lead to brain fog. Aspartame especially is a chemically made sweetener that is known to lead to brain fog. It is a gut disruptor for sure. It's filled with methanol and aspartic acid. MSG, which shows up in a lot of our processed foods, it can give that umami flavor in a lot of dishes as well, but it's a neurotoxin, and a lot of people have problems with it. Like, it's a known neurotoxin. It's toxic for your brain. And it can also contribute to zinc deficiency. It can be hidden and listed as seasoning or natural flavor. So even when you're trying to be really due diligent on, looking for MSG in ingredients, it can show up under the natural flavors and like your general seasonings too. So it's unfortunate. I wish we had better transparency. Sucralose is a sugar combined with chlorine. It can lead to headaches, depression, anxiety, and even dizziness as well. There are a ton of different like food chemicals and additives that just are in these processed foods. And they lead to a lot of problems, are going to alter our gut microbiome, which then affects our mood and mental well-being. Dehydration can lead to brain fog, drop in memory, attention, and cognitive skills. So water accounts for 80% of your brain. So it's important that you're drinking half your body weight in ounces of water because, 60% of your body is also water, but 80% of your brain is water. Even slight dehydration will cause lack of focus and function, can lead to obesity and even irritability. Food allergies are a big a big problem. So these can lead to severe headaches, brain fog, anxiety, depression. When you have food allergies and you're eating those triggering foods, it's going to alter your gut microbiome. It's going to enact your, you know, immune response, which is going to create more inflammation in your body, which leads to so many different imbalances in your systems. And I've, spoken on this before. If you want to go to my MRT food sensitivity live training, please refer back to that. Because that can be very helpful. I provide people with the MRT test to see, what foods are triggering their immune system, and then we come up with a protocol there to help eliminate these symptoms, right? So a lot of people are unaware of allergies or sensitivities, and it becomes quite obvious once you start to rid of the triggering and offending foods, and you're like, wait, hold on, my baseline of what I thought I felt well was actually me not feeling well, and now I have clarity on how I feel when I feel great, and it's wonderful. Top allergy inducing foods are like shellfish, eggs, dairy, nuts. So, obviously there's food allergies, food sensitivities, though I'm also like bulking into this too. Allergy is a much different reaction. It's an IgE reaction. So it can be more life threatening. Wheat brain is becoming more and more common, and gluten problems are becoming more and more common. Celiac disease and dementia are both linked to gluten. Wheat today is much different than the wheat in the past. We have way more gluten and other chemicals from the farming that are getting into it. Cutting down on your gluten or wheat and cutting out wheat or gluten may improve your brain fog and improve your overall mental well-being. Depends on the person, right? But it has been shown that people do get a little bit of leaky gut when consuming wheat or gluten. And then depending on how strong and resilient your gut is, it can either, that leaky gut can go right back to normal, or it can stay open, and then we start to get these problems. Again, varies on the person. So current management of psychiatric disorders primarily consists of pharmacological and psychological therapies. But this is really only effective in treating around half the disease burden, and many patients are actually treatment resistant. So this is where we really need to look at lifestyle modification, targeting diet and nutrition. They can be really beneficial, especially in these treatment resistant subgroups. So Mediterranean diet is one that is very commonly used, known for being very supportive to your brain health. So it involves an abundance of plant foods, vegetables, fresh and dried fruits, whole grains, nuts and legumes, fish, healthy fats like olives and olive oil, nuts and seeds. It's a little higher of a fat or a diet in fat. So about 35% of your calories come from fats. And it's rich in fiber, antioxidants, magnesium, zinc, other important micronutrients that we see very influential on our mental well-being. Meat is consumed sparingly. It's higher in those fattier fish. It's high in those omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids and can protect against the onset of depressive symptoms. A low glycemic index or low glycemic load diet. So this is a way of measuring how foods affect your blood sugar and insulin levels. So there are, charts out there that, and even like websites that can help you determine where different foods are on a glycemic scale, like how impactful is this going to be on your blood sugar. You want to have a lower glycemic load so that your blood sugars aren't spiking and we're doing this roller coaster like I've spoken about in previous videos. But highly refined foods and sweetened beverages are going to have a high glycemic index. These, sugars are quickly digested, leads to a brief spike in of your blood sugar, and then, higher insulin levels occur, and then you have a quick decrease, there we go, words, in blood sugar levels. And again, it's this roller coaster ride that affects our gut, affects inflammation, affects our stress in our body, and affects our brain health. High glycemic diets, really have been shown to increase worsening of mood. Again, these blood sugar fluctuations can have a negative effect on your mood. Hypoglycemia, so when you have that crash, is going to lead to irritability and issues as well. Avoiding or limiting caffeine in those with anxiety disorders can be really helpful. So some caffeine can lead to a mental boost, but overuse can lead to chronic fatigue. Overuse can mask symptoms of fatigue as well. The half-life of caffeine is 5 to 8 hours, dependent on the person, and can interfere with sleep, especially if you're having caffeine after noon. Sufficient intakes of omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids, so getting in DHA and EPA. It modulates your neurotransmission and neuroinflammation in the brain. So it's very protective of inflammation in the brain. So making sure that you're getting in those fatty fish or getting in omega-3 supplementation is going to be great and very beneficial. So getting in the colorful plants, right? They contain polyphenolic compounds. These are potent antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activities that help prevent cognitive decline, lower your insulin levels, and protect your body and get down even to a genetic level. So there's bioactives that aren't considered nutrients, but they can affect us on a genetic level. They come from these colorful plants, and there's just so many good things. They're so protective. So it's wonderful if you can have a variety of these colors in your diet. Make sure that you're avoiding any foods that you are allergic, intolerant, or sensitive to as well. Again, those triggering foods are going to lead to that gut disruption and lead to issues. So overall, what can you do? You can start paying attention to how eating different foods makes you feel. So have a journal, write it down, get nitty gritty. And this, what you eat doesn't just affect you for that day, but it can affect you for the following days too. Especially like for food sensitivities, it can take up to 3 days to really see a repercussion of a triggering food. So you got to be due diligent with your journal, and then you can start to see, I ate not strawberries, but I ate, could be strawberries. That could be a triggering food. I ate this food, on Monday, and on Wednesday, I started to really get brain fog, or I started to feel down, or, noticed achy joints, memory problems, what have you, or feeling very fatigued. And then maybe you have strawberries again, and then another, 2 days pass by and you see that same thing, and it's like, but the foods were different the other days. And you can maybe pinpoint, hey, maybe I have a sensitivity to strawberries. That's just a random example though. And use a food, mood, and symptom tracker to help. I do offer a free one, and I can I'll add that to my Facebook group on Friday. I will put that there so that you can track your food, mood, and symptoms. I will also give you a list of top 50 foods that are great for your mental well-being. And make a list of foods you eat regularly that are potential triggers for you. So remove them from your diet for 3 weeks at minimum. So, after you've done the journaling, after you've figured out, I could have problems with these, remove them for at least 3 weeks and jot down your daily experiences, see how you start to feel, determine, after the 3 weeks, am I feeling better? Am I noticing improvement? And then if you're not, you can start to add the food back in one at a time, but wait, about 4 days in between before you add in another food, just to see if your body does have a reaction. Limit and avoid added sugar, cut out any processed foods, etc. for, again, like 3 weeks, and then add those foods into your diet one by one, see what foods agree with you. Obviously, it's best to just keep those out of your diet, but if there's certain ones that you're like, I miss this, obviously you can add them in slow, but really try to minimize those. Avoid the middle aisles when shopping. Shop the farmers markets and local farms if possible. Now it's getting to that season. That's going to be so awesome. You get the local in-season foods that are really going to support you and your health during the season. The foods that grow during the season help your health and immune system during that time. It's pretty cool. and avoid artificial sweeteners and chemicals. Consume whole foods as much as you can. Make sure you're drinking enough water. Again, aim for half your body weight in ounces. You can drink 1 cup right when you wake up, before bed, during each meal, 3 more in between, however you can get it in. It doesn't have to be all at once. It's best not to do it all at once. Make half your plate non-starchy veggies and eat the colors of the rainbow. Get in those dark, deep reds, those yellows, those oranges, greens, and blues. They all have powerful anti-inflammatory and detoxifying antioxidants. They're energy boosting, brain powering as well. So make sure that you're getting in the colors. Eat more plant-based, nitrate-rich foods like those leafy greens, including arugula, beets or beet juice. They improve blood flow and your arterial health too. Get enough healthy fat. Add fatty fish to your weekly menu. Get in various nuts and seeds, olive oils, avocado oil, coconut oil. Get adequate protein to provide those building blocks for your neurotransmitters. Get in a variety, including those plant proteins. Limit, your red meat to like 2 times a week. It's high quality, but we want to get in a variety. And grass-fed is best if possible. Be kind to your gut and gut microbiome. So incorporate those probiotics through various food choices like yogurts. Get those low sugar varieties like Faye, Chobani, Siggy's. Stonyfield has some good ones. Kimchi. So those the fermented cabbage, miso, sauerkraut, kombucha, tempeh. Add probiotic supplement if warranted. Follow the Mediterranean diet, like I just spoken about. Adding in some dark chocolate here and there, especially. I'm trying to find, what are some of the better brands of the dark chocolate out there, especially with now there's that exposure of the heavy metals in our chocolate, unfortunately. But dark chocolate does contain flavonoids, which are strong antioxidants, improves blood flow to the brain, and reduces inflammation. Make sure you're including various herbs and spices into your meals. Turmeric, cinnamon, ginger, wonderful. Get in parsley, oregano, rosemary, thyme, beautiful. They're all packed with antioxidants and decrease harmful inflammation in the brain and elsewhere. Make sure you're limiting or avoiding caffeine. Use alternatives. You can try like matcha tea, golden milk, lattes, or have warm or hot water with lemon in the morning. Have some apple cider vinegar in there. Rooibos tea, a dandelion blend with a tea or as a tea. Kombucha, peppermint tea, other herbal teas. Those are great. Lemon balm teas can also help promote energy. Include green tea in your routine. So it has a brain boosting antioxidant called EGCG. Drink red wine in moderation. That's if you're someone who does enjoy drinking some wine. It does contain resveratrol. However, you can also get this in the skin of grapes, and you don't need to drink it in alcohol form. Limit exposure to potentially damaging toxins, eliminating sugar, high fructose corn syrup, there you go, trans fats, food additives, preservatives, a lot of those things in the middle aisle, and other components to consider. Making sure that you're getting adequate, high quality sleep, 7 to 8 hours a night or 50 to 60 hours a week. Deprivation is associated with weight gain. It lowers your brain function and impacts performance. It hinders athletic performance, worsens your mood, leads to lifestyle habits that aren't great for your brain. Like people are more prone then to have caffeine, more prone to be drinking alcohol, more prone to have those processed foods, that type of stuff when you don't have adequate sleep. Poor mental health is also related to inadequate sleep. It also increases health risks too. Foods that may help with your sleep: walnuts, cherries, especially like tart cherries or tart cherry juice, berries, tropical fruits. Monitor animal protein and increase your plant protein. Walnuts, cherries, berries, and tropical fruits all contain melatonin, so those are great to help with your melatonin production. Make sure you're getting in physical activity. So moderate exercise or short bouts of intense. We want to make sure we're not overexhausting either, especially if you have a dysregulated nervous system and high cortisol levels. We don't want to add more stress to it, but physical activity enhances memory and learning, improves executive function, counteracts age-related decline. It can help treat and prevent depression. It's anabolic to the brain, so helps build in the brain. It aids in better sleep and boosts dopamine. Make time for social interactions with friends. So it helps boost mood, provides support, reduces stress, can help combat depression, enhance intellectual stimulation as well. Getting outdoors, nature can improve creativity, mood, attention, reduce stress and rumination, improve cognition, and affect and productivity as well. Bring nature inside if you can't get outdoors, especially in the winter. But now that it's turning to summer, get out. Include meditation or different practices that will calm your nervous system. So engage in activities that relax your brain. It can increase your cognitive reserve, enhance cognitive function, and alter neurological pathways. So, incorporating yoga, deep breathing, mindfulness walks, using mindfulness apps, mindful eating, taking a breath before eating, journaling, gratitude journal. There are so many things out there that can really help bring that peace, calm, and meditation. So that is what I have for you now, finishing the Nourishing Your Brain series. I hope that you found this helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, are wanting more information on something. I'm here to help. But other than that, I will see you next Wednesday. I hope that you have a lovely Memorial weekend and you guys take care. Until next time.